Yosnax says, X, how do you feel about the whole coronavirus thing and controversy with China? I don't have much of a big opinion on it. I mean, it's an event that's happening. I tell you what, I don't have. I don't have these thoughts and feelings, which are unfortunately pretty racist. And if you've had them yourself, you might want to think about it for a minute. But blaming China for it is just kind of ridiculous on several different levels. And I've seen, I don't watch a lot of news. I don't pay attention to a lot of it, but I've seen some, sort of remarks thrown their way for it breaking out there. And it's just not on, really. You don't need to make it about a country or whatever. Like, the whole world is full of countries and societies run in different ways, and different events get handled in different ways. There's different population centers that are ripe for different things, and it's it should just be a humanitarian thing. It should just be, hey, look, these people are suffering, what can we do to help? Not a point finger and blame situation. That's the way I feel about it. It should be a worldly issue and not being looked at like that. And Surprise T says, in my opinion, China is handling this better than many countries ever could. Well, that's the other thing I would point out there. The things I have learned are about the super hospitals going up in days, and incredible feats of engineering, and lots of rather drastic and extreme measures to keep the outbreak under control. And, it's to sort of say they're not doing it good enough, and also to say they're doing it better than anyone else can, it's kind of a moot point, because we can't ever recreate these things. You can't go, let's roll it back a year, but this time it's going to be here in this country, and then see what happens. That's the scientific method, right? That you recreate things over and over again to prove, hey, if you do this, it always plays out that way. Therefore, it's always speculation. Did this country handle it right or not? And so it just kind of loses me, because you don't really actually have an answer to any of that. Experts can definitely shed light on various areas, but if there's one thing I've learned is that you can get there's too many people. You can get experts that disagree with one another as well. So I prefer to not dive into the more racial opinion of things. So yeah, I hope that the whole thing gets dealt with. And I hope there's no pointing of fingers. We just collaborate, work together, and try and get it fixed. No need to, play a blame game or anything like that, in my opinion. I don't want coronavirus to come to Bulgaria because my immune system is really bad. Yeah, well, you're at most risk if you're very young or very old, or you have poor immune health. So take extra precaution, really. As much precaution as you can. I can't really comment on how sometimes these things, they're over sensationalized in the media. I can't really comment on that. It seems like for the most part it's being taken very seriously. It is highly contagious, but not very deadly. So the majority of the population will be safe. But like I said, it's the young, the old, and the vulnerable that are at risk. If you're middle-aged and healthy, you'll probably be fine. Is what they're saying. Not that I'm the expert, just repeating what experts say, That's how we get most of our knowledge and information these days, is just repeating what other people have said or what we've heard, It's kind of crazy when you think about it. I think the coronavirus is not bad. It's the media making it look bad, says Gia. Could be. I think the media has a tendency to sensationalize, but sometimes there's reason, but, I don't really know on this one. Two old friends of mine who almost finished their studies in China got the sickness. It does not only affect their health, but at the same time their emotional and mental health, because of this whole false news and information that has been put around. They're still fighting against this sickness. Kagoo, what exactly is the false narrative or news on this? As you know, I'm on a bit of a minimal news diet and world affairs diet as of late. Master Feely says, I personally find the whole coronavirus situation absurd. The media is making people panic. If people would actually research the subject, they will find that coronavirus is actually just like the flu, but a little more dangerous for people with bad health. Yeah, that's one of the things I've heard people talking about, is how the common flu kills more people than the coronavirus. I think the reason they feel they have a reason to make this seem so drastic and important is because of how easily contagious it is. It's more contagious than the flu, right? But again, not an expert, just a derp. Just a derp making Minecraft videos, jeez. Rustin says, I have a really good immune system, so I don't get any illness. I get it from my dad. I don't know how that works, like, genetically. I'm sure there's predispositions to good and bad immune systems. One thing I do know is that working out and doing resistance training is said to increase your immune system. I believe there's even bodies of research proving it to be so. Seen that quoted by a lot of people who dive into the science of resistance training. And since I've been doing it regularly, like, just the amount of sick days I have these days compared to in the past, you know, let's say 10 years ago, I'd probably get like sick several times throughout the year. And my recent sickness is the first I've had in like 2 years, I think. And do you know what I did when I was sick? I spent most of the day doing jobs around the house, lifting and building stuff, and you know, the worst part of it was I had this midday crash of energy. It's just like I'd spend the morning doing this and that and whatever, and I'd be fine. You know, I'd feel like 90%. I'd feel a bit groggy, but I could crack on and do stuff. And then I would just get this crash of energy where I needed to sit down, and it always happened around 12. It happened on like 3 or 4 days in a row. But like waking up in the morning, and then like in the evening, I was pretty good. It was the middle of the day, just that crash, and around it, it just got a bit rough. One thing I did enjoy though was having lots of coffee.